Hey everyone, it's James.
And Stephanie from thefitrv.com.
We're coming to you today from the Caravan Salon 2017 in Dusseldorf, or the Alps. We found this little vignette.
Yes.
That's my word of the week, vignette.
Yep, so we snatched it up and we are here to talk European rigs versus North America rigs.
And it helped us for doing this that we spent a week traveling around in a European RV.
And we noticed a lot of differences just from that experience.
Right. So now, we're not saying that one way is good and the other is bad, or one's better than the other.
It's very cultural, so obviously manufacturers are going to build for their customer, and it's a very different customer in Europe than it is in North America.
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing we should talk about is the no generators thing.
Yeah, and they really don't have generators here.
I haven't seen a single one this whole show, have you?
No, and there are some reasons for that. The main reason, I think, is that the weight. They're trying to keep the weight of these things under 3.5 tons,
right? Because
that pushes you into a CDL, commercial driver's license.
Right, and so people don't want to have to get that other driver's license, so weight has to be under that.
Right. Another reason that they don't have the generators is because they just don't have the energy-hungry appliances.
Yeah, they don't have microwaves, for example. That's another thing I haven't seen at all.
I didn't see a single microwave in an RV. Yeah. I did see ovens. I saw a number of ovens, but those were propane ovens.
But again, this is a cultural difference, I think, because microwaves aren't as big over here as they are in the US.
Yeah, back home we'll just throw something in the microwave and call it good. That's dinner. But here, no, it's a meal. You prepare it. It's
fresh
an event.
Food and I think it's wonderful.
So no microwaves. They also, an air conditioner is not a given in any of these RVs.
Right, it's not. Ours had an air conditioner, but it does seem to be more optional than expected.
Yeah, come to think of it, I don't think I've seen any here on the show floor that had an air conditioner in them.
That's
there
true.
Probably were some, but I didn't see it. I didn't notice any.
Correct.
And so since we've got no generators, and we've got no microwaves, we've got no air conditioning, we don't have all that energy demand, I'm not seeing or not noticing a big push towards like lithium batteries, high-powered inverters, that sort of thing. I saw 2 lithium batteries in this entire show. We walked through all the vendors. I saw 2.
Okay.
They were in the same booth, but 2 batteries.
Oh, but they weren't in an RV.
No.
Okay.
So just lithium batteries, just not that big of a deal here because
that's interesting. In the U.S., there's such a push for that. People want to be off the grid. They want to be able to run their microwave and their air conditioner, and you need lithium to do that.
Yeah, but here, if you don't need to run all that stuff, the need for lithium and that big inverter is not as great.
Okay, interesting. So another big difference, there seemed to be much less concern with connectivity, like Wi-Fi boosters, cell boosters, didn't see that stuff.
No.
And not even a whole lot of USB ports in the rigs.
I think I saw one or 2 rigs that had a USB port in them.
Yeah.
That was quite different from the US, but that kind of reflects what I saw at the campgrounds we were at. I didn't see people like walking around glued to their phones, not paying attention to where they were going. It seems that when they go camping here, they want to unplug.
Disconnect. Well, and I think there's a lot of people in the U.S., they're not just doing the weekend thing, which is popular here. They're hitting the road and maybe working remote, so they need to be connected. So, again, it could be part of the cultural difference that...
But yeah, it's a lot easier to get unplugged in a European RV because there are a lot fewer plugs. Okay, the next thing, this one's pretty obvious, but I think we all know that they don't have black tanks over here in Europe.
Yes, and not at all. I mean, there's not, if you had one, there's no place to dump it. So.
Yeah, that would be a problem. So. They have only cassette toilets that we've seen, and only a facility to dump a cassette toilet. The gray water facilities here are different, and you couldn't dump a black tank into them.
Right, the gray is very interesting. You just drive over a hole pretty much and open your tank and it all goes down. So,
yep. Another thing that was different that was starting to show up in the U.S. now are acrylic windows.
Ooh,
Over here, I've seen almost exclusively the dual pane acrylic windows in RVs.
And we're big fans of those. They're soundproof, and well, I mean not totally soundproof.
Sound resistant.
Sound resistant. They make a big difference. We have one. We know.
Yeah, and they help a lot with thermal conductivity with heat. They keep heat out. They keep warm air in the winter. They're just a lot more efficient. And
I especially like the blinds, the ones with the blinds.
Oh yeah, they have the built-in blinds, so you don't have the valances and curtains.
Material flapping about. It's just simpler and cleaner.
It's a cleaner way to do it. Absolutely.
Yes, so that's very popular over here.
Okay, another thing that I thought was interesting was I got to drive an RV with a manual transmission.
Oh yeah, so strange.
common over here.
Yeah, there's none in the U.S.
No,
are there?
no, I
I've
really
never
don't
heard
think
of
so.
that, and I don't know that anyone would want that.
It was kind of cool when you got once. It took me a day to get back into it, but once I did, it was really cool.
Yeah, I would have been too. I drive stick just fine. I've had stick cars over my life, but I would not have wanted to drive it. We were going up some 20% grades through the Alps on very narrow roads.
Stop and go up a 20% grade.
Yeah, stop and go because there would be bikers in front of us, and I can't imagine that. But it's common over here to have a stick shift.
You get used to it, and it's cool. Maybe that's a guy thing. I don't
Yes.
know. The other thing here, just about every RV we saw, not everyone, but most of the RVs we saw had a big garage.
Oh yes.
This is something that's near and dear to our hearts.
We want that so bad to be common in the U.S. Because even in their Class B vans, they're conscious of building a space for your toys, for your bikes, for whatever activities you're going to
Skis.
do. Yes, and it's wonderful to see these small RVs that have space for your active
and that's
pursuits.
across the whole spectrum, from the
Absolutely.
smaller Bs that got space, and then all the way up to what the big
The A's.
A's.
Well, even their small A's have garages. You'll find them in all their rigs. It's just wonderful.
And speaking of small A's, that's kind of, I guess, maybe the last theme we've come up with here is think small.
Yes. Well, and some of that is their roads. Roads here are very narrow, so they prefer their rigs to be smaller.
Yeah, and trust me, you want that driving on Alp roads
Yes.
with buses coming the other way. You want a small rig. But it's very important to them here. They always publish the length and width, and it's in meters, but they're mostly under 7 meters long and mostly like 2.3 meters wide, something like that.
Yes, and I think some of that is trying to keep that weight down as well. That's why the rigs are smaller, because of the driver's license thing.
Yeah, and I've seen them on scales too. I've
Yes.
actually seen a couple of them that they've had just set up on scales. So
Right,
look, this
around the
rig
show
is
here. Yep.
under 3.5 tons.
Yeah.
And I think another thing too, after having driven through some of those smaller towns, I
Yes.
think anything bigger than some of these RVs, you just flat couldn't get in there.
Right. I'm looking at some of these huge rigs we've seen at the show. Like there's been a couple of Class A's so big you could get a car in them, and I wonder where
How
are
do
these
they even
people
get it
going?
here?
After our week driving around the Alps, I can't imagine they're going in the Alps.
No, they're not going there.
So anyway, that's some of the differences we've noticed. I'm sure there's many, many more, but it's been very interesting checking out the show and seeing these things, hasn't it?
And it's been very tiring too. The show covers like acres and acres, and we've been
Yes.
walking and walking and walking. It's huge.
Yes.
So if you get a chance, if you have the opportunity, you're in Dusseldorf at the end of August, by all means come to Caravan Salon. You will love it.
Yes, and if you have any questions for us, come over to our website, thefedrv.com, and we'll put a link in our YouTube video and leave us some comments.
All right, this is James.
And Stephanie.
See you later.
Bye guys.